Hello, welcome to Middle East in Depth, part of Levant TV's Press Reviews. Michael Knight's Phillip Smyth and Ahmed Ali, three Iraq experts, probe the rising influence of Shiite militias, many backed by Iran, on Iraq's security and political landscapes. They write a piece in the Washington Institute for Near East Policy, and the title says it all: Iranian Influence in Iraq between Balancing and Hezbollahzation. Michael Knight says last summer, following the fall of al-Mosul and much of northern Iraq, the popular mobilization units prevented further loss of territory to ISIS. In autumn, they began clearance operations, retaking territory in places such as Tikrit and Ahmed Ali. Elite PMU elements are supported by Iranian Revolutionary Guards and Lebanese Hezbollah, who supply them with intelligence, advisors, logistics and weapons. This gives them an edge over the ISF, though the PMUs as a whole are spread fairly thin at this point. As to Phillip Smyth, Tehran has also been pushing symbolic cross-sectarian alliances against ISIS by creating small minority militias within the PMUs. Examples include the Christian groups Kata'ib Babiliyun and Kata'ib Ruh Allah, Isa ibn Maryam, as well as smaller Sunni factions. These militias have been formed to create a non-sectarian face for the PMUs and expand Iran's influence beyond its traditional Shiite base. Meanwhile, Ahmed Ali argues the PMUs have established themselves in Iraq through significant recruiting, fundraising and other activities, and while they might not be highly influential in the long term, the PMU will be part of the political scene for years to come. In the past, militia figures have not done as well in elections as expected, but they will continue to compete with each other for parliamentary seats. The PMUs also have a tendency to overplay their hand and a reputation for internecine violence, which turns public sentiment against them. Going forward, Ahmed Ali concludes Sistani will be an important figure in monitoring and curbing these competing factions, though that will happen after he is gone is unclear. He adds, these concerns aside, Iraq will not succumb to Hezbollahzation. The Iraqi state is relatively strong, and the PMUs are being forced to work within that system. The country has too much political diversity and competition for one armed group to dominate like Hezbollah does in Lebanon. And finally, the Washington Institute piece states, if ISIS is eventually expelled from Iraq, many Iraqi Shiite militias would likely return to Syria to resume their efforts in support of President Bashar al-Assad. Moving on to Cairo, where Mohammed Shuman believes the Egyptian media has reached a point of explosion. The state must intervene, he says, to solve the crisis, not through censorship, but through organizations based on social dialogue and legislation. Since January 2012, he says, the Egyptian media has been subject to the accelerated and troubled shifts. The space here would not be enough to fully outline the situation of the media during the years of the revolution. Shuman summarizes main shifts as follows. First, he says, the state under the Supreme Council of the Armed Forces, the SCAF, established the freedom to publish newspapers and launch satellite channels without any vision or planning and based on old laws and legislative frameworks that could not accommodate the needs of the post-revolution movement. Second, he says, there is the widespread use of social media and new forms of media. This situation led to a setback in levels of professionalism and a noticeable increase in politicization, where media were used as tools for political conflict and to divide influence between the state and the private sector. Businessmen poured enormous sums into financing newspapers and satellite channels that were losing enterprises but necessary as tools for defending their interests against changing political authorities. Mohammed Shuman, who is also a dean of the Faculty of Communication and Mass Media at the British University in Egypt, says these shifts summarize the troubled media scene that is close to breaking point and may lead to the collapse of the media system, whether technically in programming, in ethics and politics, or the collapse of the public's trust. In most of what is presented to it, basically. Shuman emphasizes there must be swift action for reorganizing the Egyptian media and developing its performance through issuing laws that activate the relevant 3 articles of the Constitution concerning the establishment of the Supreme Council for the Regulation of Media, provided that there are safeguards for the independence of its organizations financially and politically. That was it for today's brief analysis. For more updates, please visit levant.tv. You could also subscribe to Middle East in Depth on iTunes. Thanks for watching and bye for now.